People think betrayal begins the moment someone cheats. They're wrong. Betrayal begins the moment you trust someone completely. 3 years ago, my wife promised she'd never hurt me. She lied, and I believed every word. My name is Ethan Carter. I'm an architect. Every evening after work, I'd stop at the same little coffee shop. One rainy afternoon, a woman smiled at the blueprints on my table. "You design homes?" I looked up and met Olivia for the first time. We kept meeting. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became weekends. Before I knew it, I couldn't imagine my life without her. She remembered the smallest things about me, and somehow made every ordinary day feel special. Almost a year later, I proposed to Olivia. Before I could finish, she was already crying. She wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "Yes." I honestly believed I was marrying the love of my life. 2 weeks before our wedding, Olivia brought home a folder. "It's just paperwork for our future," she said with a smile. "Joint ownership, shared assets, a stronger future together." I hesitated. She looked into my eyes and quietly asked, "You trust me, don't you?" I signed every page. That night, I slept peacefully, dreaming about the life we were about to build. A few minutes later, Olivia quietly reached for her phone. She typed one short message, read it once, then pressed send. A small smile appeared on her face. The first year of our marriage felt almost perfect. Our architecture firm finally began to grow. New clients, better projects, a brighter future. Every success felt like something we had built together. I truly believed life couldn't get any better. Then, things started changing, not all at once. Just little things. Olivia began taking calls in another room. Her phone was always face down. Whenever I walked in, she quickly locked the screen. I told myself it was nothing. Days became weeks. That strange feeling never disappeared. There were no arguments, no obvious lies. Just small moments that didn't feel right. For the first time, I caught myself wondering if I really knew my own wife. One rainy evening, Olivia rushed out for what she called an important client dinner. She was in such a hurry. She left her tablet on the kitchen counter. A few moments later, the screen lit up. One notification from an unknown number. I wasn't trying to invade her privacy. Honestly, I almost looked away. Then I read the message preview. He still doesn't suspect anything. My heart skipped a beat. Who were they talking about? And why did it feel like they were talking about me? I stood there, staring at the screen. Part of me wanted to walk away, to trust my wife, to pretend I'd never seen it. But another part of me needed the truth. With trembling hands, I picked up the tablet, and slowly, I unlocked it. The tablet unlocked. For a moment, I couldn't move. My eyes stayed fixed on the conversation. No name, just an unknown number. The messages stretched back for months, maybe even longer. I started scrolling. Most of the messages were short. Late-night meetings, private conversations, plans I had never heard about. Then one sentence made my heart stop. "Wait until he signs the final papers." I scrolled higher. Then I saw the dates. They weren't from last month or last year. They were from before our wedding, before I proposed, before she promised to spend her life with me. I suddenly realized this had never been an accident. At first, I thought it was an affair. That would have been painful enough. But these messages weren't romantic. They were strategic. Every conversation was about timing, my company, my future. And somehow, then I noticed a hidden folder. Inside were photos of contracts, company documents, property papers. Some even carried my own signature. The room suddenly felt smaller. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. Something much bigger was happening. Just then, the tablet vibrated. A new message appeared. Tomorrow morning, we start the transfer. Olivia replied almost immediately. Don't worry, he still trusts me. I stared at the screen, trying to understand what they were planning. But one thing was already clear. If I did nothing, by tomorrow, I could lose everything. I didn't sleep that night. Every message, every document, every signature kept replaying in my mind. By sunrise, I wasn't looking for answers anymore. I was looking for proof. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. I kissed Olivia goodbye, watched her leave. Then I started checking everything. Company accounts, contracts, emails. Something didn't add up. Money had been moving without my approval. One payment caught my attention. It matched the date of one of Olivia's so-called client dinners. Instead of going to the office, I followed her. She didn't drive to a client. She walked into a quiet cafe across town. And she wasn't alone. I stayed outside, watching through the window. The man sitting across from Olivia looked familiar. They weren't acting like strangers. They'd laughed. They exchanged documents. Then, he slid a folder across the table. Olivia smiled and signed something. My heart started racing. I knew that face, not from television, not from social media, from my own office. He had worked with me for almost 4 years. Ryan, my business partner, the man I trusted, almost as much as Olivia. I couldn't breathe. It had never been just my marriage. It was my company, my future, my entire life. The two people I trusted most had been planning this together. And standing outside that cafe, I made one promise to myself. They were about to learn. I wasn't the only one who could keep a secret. I didn't confront them. Not Olivia. Not Ryan. If they thought I knew, they'd change their plan. So I smiled, went to work, came home, and acted like nothing had changed. Every night, I collected evidence, bank records, emails, security footage, copies of every document I could find. The more I uncovered, the worse it became. This wasn't just betrayal, it was fraud. I couldn't fight this alone. So I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Daniel, a corporate attorney, and an old college friend. After reading everything, he looked at me and said, "Don't stop them. Let them finish." With Daniel's help, we quietly protected everything. The company accounts, the ownership records, every legal document. We changed nothing they could notice. But behind the scenes, their plan was already falling apart. The hardest part was pretending. Every morning, Olivia kissed me goodbye. Every afternoon, Ryan shook my hand at the office. They smiled because they thought they were winning. I smiled back because they had no idea what was waiting for them. 2 days later, Ryan called an emergency board meeting. Olivia insisted on coming with me. As we walked into the conference room, they looked completely confident. Neither of them noticed the 2 lawyers already waiting inside. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. They were. Ryan stood at the head of the conference table. Confident. Composed. Like he already owned the room. He clicked to the next slide. "Our company has outgrown Ethan's leadership," he said. "If we want to attract bigger investors, we need a new structure." He proposed transferring executive control to himself. He promised it was only for the company's future. But everyone in that room, especially Olivia, knew the truth. Once the papers were signed, The company would be his. I sat there quietly and let him finish. Ryan answered every question, like he'd rehearsed it 100 times. Some board members nodded. Others flipped through the proposal. Then the chairman spoke. "If there are no objections, we'll move to a vote." Ryan looked at Olivia. She smiled. He smiled back. They believed they were only minutes away from taking everything I'd spent years building. Just as the chairman reached for the voting papers, I stood up. The room went silent. Ryan looked at me with the same confident smile. "Ethan, do you have something to say?" I picked up a thick black folder, walked slowly to the center of the table, and placed it in front of him. Then I looked around the room and calmly said, "Before anyone votes, I think you deserve to know who you're really giving this company to." Ryan looked down at the folder, still smiling. "What is this?" I answered calmly. "The truth." He opened it. The first page contained records of hidden bank transfers. The second, private messages. The third, documents showing forged approvals. His smile disappeared. Olivia leaned closer, and her face turned pale. The board members stopped reading Ryan's proposal and started reading mine. One document became 5. 5 became 20. The lawyers quietly placed more evidence on the table. Every transfer, every message, every forged signature, every fake approval, every piece connected perfectly. One board member slowly removed his glasses. Another pushed Ryan's proposal aside. No one was listening to him anymore. For the first time, Ryan looked nervous. Olivia couldn't even look at me. The room that had been ready to hand them my company was now questioning everything they had said. Ryan finally stood. "This is a misunderstanding," Olivia quickly added. "We can explain." I looked at both of them, then at everyone around the table. "You've spent the last hour asking why Ryan should run this company." I paused. "The better question is, should either of them be allowed to stay in it?" I slid one final sealed folder toward the chairman. "My lawyers have already submitted everything. The decision is yours." The chairman slowly opened the file. The room fell completely silent. Ryan's hands began to shake. Olivia closed her eyes. For the first time, they realized their plan hadn't ended today. It had ended the moment I stopped trusting them. The chairman opened the final folder. The lawyers confirmed every document, every bank transfer, every forged signature, every hidden message. The room was silent. Then the chairman looked at Ryan. "Your proposal is rejected." He turned to the board. "Ryan Mitchell is removed from his position, effective immediately." Years of planning ended in a single sentence. Ryan stood up. This was Olivia's idea. Olivia stared at him in disbelief. "You promised we'd never get caught." Neither of them tried to defend the truth anymore. They only tried to save themselves. A few moments later, company security walked into the room. Ryan lowered his head. Olivia couldn't even look at me. The two people who once believed they were unstoppable walked out together as complete strangers. 3 months later, the company felt different. Not because it was bigger, because it was honest again. The people who stayed believed in what we were building. For the first time in years, I walked into my office without wondering who I could trust. I looked out across the city, the same city where this story had begun. Then I smiled, not because I had won, but because I had finally found peace. Sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy your future. Sometimes it clears the path for the life you were always meant to build.